Welcome everyone. This is M, CEO of the Soul Focus Group and Super Coach. Excited about being able to talk to you again. And it's always lovely when I can take this time out to connect with you. And connect with you is exactly what my intentions are. It's not just to share knowledge and information, but it's also to connect with you, to feel the essence of what it means to be a human being. Connection is so important. We take connection for granted often. I know in my life, when I was younger, I took connection for granted. But connection is so important. Connection is what makes life work. Connection is what makes life meaningful. Connection is actually the thing that makes us want to get up in the morning and actually go and do what we do, or say what we say, or experience what we experience. Connection. For a large part of my life, I was sort of numb to connection. And I became numb to connection because of the trauma I experienced as a child. And so as I would grow older, I would learn to sort of create a defense mechanism to protect myself. I would say this: out of survival, I created ways in which to be with people without being connected to them. In other words, without feeling to the degree in which I could feel. And I did that to protect myself because I had been so used to being disappointed and brokenhearted growing up that I learned to protect myself from it. But you don't know that in the method that you're developing to protect yourself from being hurt and disappointed, the method that you are using will ultimately cause you more disappointment and heartache down the road. You don't know that though. So let's get clear. You don't know it. You really don't know it. And so what you end up doing is you disconnect in order to protect yourself. And the disconnecting causes you pain and hurt down the road because you really want to be connected to people, not attached, connected. And there's a difference between being attached and being connected. Being attached is like going into the realm of possessiveness and ownership, and you've turned something beautiful, which is being in tune with someone, to trying to make that someone an object without you even realizing you've made them an object. You've objectified them and you've made them a thing in your mind. They're not a thing in reality, but in your mind, they're a thing. And you don't even know that you've made them a thing. So connection is different from attachment. Attachment is where a great deal of our illnesses and relationships come from. Attachment does is lowers our relationship IQ. So all of us are, as social creatures, we are naturally inclined to connect to people, to want connection, to need connection, to survive, not only survive through connection, but to prosper through connection. Because to have material things without feeling connected to people, without feeling that your family is in touch with you and you are in touch with your family, without that feeling, without that connection, then you could have all the material things in the world and feel lonely and by yourself, feel like no one cares about you, because connection is something that is so natural to us. It is a part of our very fiber. Our soul is connected to other souls. No soul is disconnected, but the disconnection happens in our thinking, happens in our mind, happens in the ideas that we hold in our head. Because the reality is none of us really are ever disconnected on a spiritual level from anyone. But our thoughts often keep us from being able to benefit and enjoy the connection that presently exists, right? So you can be in a relationship with someone and you can know that you love them in your heart, but the thoughts that you hold and the perspective that you filter what you feel through prevents you from being able to really be at peace or to really enjoy the love that you have for the person that you're with, right? You could be, for example, with your kids. You could, we know we love our kids. We love them a lot. But our fear of them being hurt or our fear of what may happen to them out in society will then move some parents to want to be more possessive in their attempt to control or to protect their children, and end up creating barriers in their mind that will allow them to be present to their children. They're so busy trying to protect them that they're not present to who they are and the magic that they have brought into their lives. We become disconnected from that. Now remember, disconnection is not spiritual. Disconnection is mental. So it's about getting our mind in alignment with what we really want to experience. So I started off this conversation talking about how when I experienced all sorts of trauma growing up, from having parents who were not abusive to me, but they were abusive to each other and therefore abusive to myself and my siblings, because they didn't actually beat us or anything like that, but they fought each other violently. And it was a violent marriage, and their violence and us being spectators of that violence had a lot of negative repercussions on us. And so, we were experiencing the pain and hurt that comes along with it, and the disappointment that comes from having two parents who are not on the same page, having two parents who really don't need to be together. But yet, as a child, you want them to be together, but at the same time, at some level, they're not good for each other for whatever reason. And you start feeling like, how do I protect myself from this? How do I protect myself? Even our children do that. Our children are thinking about us, and they're watching their parents, how their parents parent, and how we talk to each other and how we relate to each other. And they start beginning to negotiate with themselves. How I'm going to navigate this? How I'm going to navigate these two people who obviously don't have their stuff together as adults. But here's the thing. As children, we struggle to see that our parents have adult lives, that they have adult concerns, that they have adult things that they're dealing with. Because our assumption as children was natural that you asked us to come here. You created a portal for us to make our presence known in this world. So you must have something together. Why would you call us into this realm, or make a way for us to come into this realm if you weren't prepared for our presence, right? So we're looking at this, and that's why children, when children look at things, they look at things as the world is all about them, because it really is. When you focus on yourself, the world is all about you, not in a negative way, but in a way where you learn to connect to things from yourself first. Now, you can't connect with things, connect with the world from an outside in perspective. It must be an inside out perspective, which always starts with you. And you're asking in yourself, how does this relate to me? How does this treat me? How does this make me feel? What does it make me think about myself? And so growing up in an abusive household, watching your parents fight all the time and argue all the time begins to have an impact on the way you see yourself. And you see yourself as, children often conclude that they're not worthy, that there's something wrong with them. I concluded that I wasn't lovable. And one of the reasons why my parents were so abusive to each other was because of us. Our birth, my siblings, myself and my siblings, our birth into the world was the cause of their struggle, the cause of their pressure, the cause of all the things that they were experiencing. So I took that on as my fault. And so for years, that perspective would haunt me, and it would prevent me from truly connecting with people, because my concept of myself was that I was unlovable, unworthy of being loved. So that really interfered with my connection with people. So I would go through school. I remember going through high school, and it was a blur to me because I was so disconnected from people, and no one knew it, but that was my way of dealing with the pain, dealing with the struggle, dealing with the abandonment, dealing with feeling alone, dealing with not having who you wanted in your life to demonstrate the love and care that you wanted. So my struggle to connect was a big deal for me. And I'm going to continue sharing this with you in my next episode, but I want you to think about your connection. I want you to think about how you are connected to people and how you are not connected to people. And I want you to think about how much bigger your life could be and enjoyable if you really had connection first with yourself, connection to your body, rooted in your body, and then connection with others. Healthy connection. I'm M, super coach and CEO of the Soul Focus Group. Thank you for listening.